Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Forbes Flash. Hope you all had a good Halloween week. Not to scare you, but our annual list of the highest paid dead celebs came out this week, and it's a fitting way to celebrate all things spooky. I, for one, am blown away by the fact that these 13 stars make more in the afterlife than most of us will ever see in our bank accounts. Take the first person on the list, Michael Jackson. He made $400 million in the past year, mostly from the sale of his EMI Music publishing stake. That helps add to a post-death earnings total of $2.4 billion. Other notable names on the list, Elvis Presley, Bob Marley, and Marilyn Monroe all made millions this year. We miss them all the time, of course, not just during the Halloween season. On to something less scary, depending on who you ask. Elon Musk recently declared that the August tweet in which he said he was considering taking Tesla private at 420 was worth it. The post, which was supposed to be entertaining for his girlfriend Grimes, cost him and Tesla $20 million in fines, each. Seems like a lot of money for a joke, right? Well, not if you consider Musk's Twitter account as Tesla's primary platform for news and promotion. The company doesn't do commercials, radio ads, or random social media integrations. They have Musk, and that's enough to draw all kinds of media coverage. So, does the $40 million paid for a misguided tweet cover the cost of an entire marketing team? Probably. Fox News and the Fox Business Network had quite a week. They floated conspiracy theories that the migrants coming to the U.S. are bringing smallpox, a disease that was eradicated in 1980, by the way, and that Democrats were behind the recent mail bombs. There were more, but you get the picture. The resulting pushback came from both sides. Even conservatives slammed the network. Both Fox networks sit within 21st Century Fox, a publicly traded company. So, our reporters went to find out how the board of directors feels about their company's conspiracy theory habit. Forbes reporters reached out to each of the 11 board members, one by one, but no one was willing to talk. Only venture capitalist Jim Breyer responded directly, with a no comment. Interestingly enough, 10 of the 11 are foreign-born, immigrants, or have immigrant parents. Here's a few stories you might have missed this past week. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but here's an alarming stat that emerged this week. Populations of wild animals have fallen by an average of 60% over the last few decades. Yikes. The number comes from a WWF report, which looked at populations of vertebrates between 1970 and 2014. The regions most affected are Central and South America. But don't panic quite yet. This number is the condensed version of a very complicated dataset, and not all species are on the verge of extinction. But it's still not great news, especially when you consider how interlinked our ecosystems are. So, want to do your part to help out the environment? Consider downloading an app like Cowlines, a daily trip planning app that helps put together a route for getting where you need to go. The bonus? It compares recommended transportation modes and their CO2 costs with what would happen if you drove the whole route. It's kind of like a Fitbit, but instead of tracking steps and their impact on your health, Cowline users track their transport decisions against greenhouse gases. The data gathered will potentially be used to impact public policy. Cool concept, right? GM impressed Wall Street this week with a huge third-quarter earnings beat. The results pushed shares up 10% in midday trading earlier this week. But despite strong sales of Chevy and GMC full-size trucks and crossovers, it's not all smooth sailing. The company cited concern with slowing sales in North America and China, plus higher costs due to Trump tariffs. They're also looking to cut headcount, offering buyouts to 18,000 salaried employees in North America. All this comes as GM continues to try to position itself as a tech company more than a car company. You might have already seen this on Forbes.com, but we're a few days into what we call a career challenge, a 15-day content series about building stronger relationships. It's one of the most important things you can do for your career. After all, 85% of jobs are filled through connections. So far, we've gone over how to establish your goals, boost your emotional intelligence, and redefine communication skills. One tidbit I especially enjoyed, limiting your screen time to help improve your emotional intelligence. Studies have found that having a smartphone present while spending time with someone can impair your relationship. That's something I need to work on. You can follow along with the career challenge by following @ForbesLeaders on Twitter. Another week, another update on the race towards self-driving cars on the road. Waymo officially received approval from California to begin testing autonomous vehicles on state roads without human safety drivers behind the wheel. They're the first company to receive this approval, unsurprisingly, as they've been testing the technology for nearly a decade, logging more than 10 million miles along the way. The 60 other companies, yeah, that many, that are testing autonomous vehicles in California still need human safety drivers. The public is still meh on the whole self-driving car idea, especially after the March death of a pedestrian. But the California DMV says Waymo has been working towards this milestone for years and continues to keep the public safety in mind. Facebook started investing heavily in voice tech in 2013, one of the earliest companies to do so. Yet, despite that early start and being one of the world's biggest tech companies, they've fallen behind. Take their recently launched Portal. Meant to be an alternative to the Amazon Echo speaker, it doesn't have its own voice assistant. Instead, it comes with Alexa, which is awkward for the user, especially since the Echo costs less than the Portal. When it comes to voice technology, Facebook isn't not trying. They've bought several speech-based companies and hired experts specializing in that area. But they've struggled to turn that into useful services thanks to chaotic product priorities. It would take a lot to catch up to Google at this point, whose digital assistant Duplex can answer phone calls and transcribe them into text, real time.
My name is Chloe Sorvino, and I'm a reporter at Forbes magazine who covers a lot of food and agriculture entrepreneurs. I've recently been hearing a lot about the cold storage supply chain and how there's a lack of supply across the nation and around the world for trucks, especially refrigerated trucks. This is a huge issue because a lot of small farmers and small food producers that make products that end up in your supermarkets, they can't get their products to different spots around the country because they just physically, the logistics aren't there. And if you know anything about food waste, or if you've heard about that, really big issue, one of the biggest reasons there's so much food waste around the world is that you can't get enough trucks to go to the farms and get the produce off the farm. So most of the food waste in the world is actually, just from vegetables and fruits left on the farms that, they can't, bring to market and get to consumers in time. There are a bunch of startups that have, tried to attack this, but they usually only last a few years, and no one's really been able to figure out the logistics, and this impacts the smaller entrepreneurs the most. And with local food being something that consumers are really looking for and continue to demand from groceries, that's one of the biggest opportunities for investors in the future to continue to try to figure out. No one's really done it successfully yet.
Thanks for joining us. Share your feedback using #ForbesFlash, and we'll see you next week. Tune in every Friday morning, same time, same place.